Good?
Rich coming?
He'll be here in a minute, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mother Nature.
That could change to
Right, so I'm just trying to make it possible.
Yep.
Because I want to.
Notice. This meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice sent to the Star Ledger, the local source, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the Township website. May I ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance as Committeeman Capitis leads us in the salute.
With pleasure, Mr. Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May everybody please remain standing for a moment of silence for our service members serving abroad and near. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Kaiser.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Weber.
Here.
Committeeman Capitis.
Here.
Committeewoman Dubois.
Here.
And Committee Member will be attending shortly.
Okay. Proclamations and announcements. This is the fun part of the night. We'll start with some announcements. Unfortunately, on a sad note, the Township extends its condolences to former Mayor David Barnett and his wife Lori and their family on the passing of Lori's father, Gerald Neufeld. Their family are in our thoughts and prayers. On Sunday, we have the Fall Festival and Car Show. It's Sunday, October 16th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Mountain Avenue. Food trucks, vendors, beer garden, live music, kids zone, fun for the whole family. The rain date, hopefully no rain. I think it looks good, but it is October 23rd. But our Fall Festival and Car Show is Sunday, October 16th.
And Sunday is a busy day in town because over at Dayton, the FMG PTA is putting on the Harlem Wizards versus the teachers and staff of the school district. And they still have tickets available from what I saw today. So if you want to really pack your day with fun, you can get tickets. Check out the PTA page. They might have tickets available at the door if it doesn't sell out. I saw today it wasn't quite sold out yet. I know in years past it has sold out. And if you're lucky enough to be there, you'll get to see me not only at the festival, but you'll get to see me there because I will be keeping score. They asked me to referee, but I know that job is not for the faint of heart. So I just said I'd much rather do the scoreboard because I think that's a little more forgiving. So hopefully you can stop by both events and bring the kids and make a whole day of it.
It'll be a fun one. It's Halloween time. The Recreation Department has its Halloween Spooktacular on Sunday, October 30th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. at Chisholm Park. If it rains, it will be inside in Chisholm, but hopefully it'll be outside. It's free. Join us for a children's costume contest, a donut truck, a magician, a photo ring, a red ribbon week giveaways, DJ music, prizes, and more. It's co-sponsored by Keller Williams, Midtown Direct Realty, Cardinal Land Properties, State Farm, Mike Scalera, and the Springfield Patriot Chamber of Commerce. You can pre-register on Community Pass through our website. So everybody, Spooktacular is Sunday, October 30th, and we hope to see you there. Two proclamations I have to read. One is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. For Breast Cancer Awareness Month, whereas October 2022 is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and October 21st, 2022 is National Memory Day, and whereas breast cancer is the most common cancer among women and kills more women in the United States than any cancer except lung cancer, and whereas in 2022 an estimated 281,550 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the United States, and 43,600 breast cancer deaths. And whereas While breast cancer in men is rare, it does happen with an estimated 2,650 new cases of breast cancer expected to be diagnosed in men in 2022. And whereas the death rates from breast cancer have been declining, these decreases are thought to be the result of treatment advances, earlier detection through screening, and increased awareness and for detecting breast cancer that may be cancerous. And whereas pink ribbons have been the symbol of the fight against breast cancer since 1993, now therefore I, Alexander Kaiser, Mayor of the Township of Springfield, on behalf of the Township Committee, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So there we go. Everybody please get checked out, and especially this month. We also have Mental Illness Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is part of the overall health, with 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health problem in any given year, and approximately 1/2 of chronic mental health illness beginning by the age of 14 and 3/4 by the age of 24. And whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the 2nd leading cause among young adults, and 90% of people who die by suicide have an underlying mental health illness. And whereas long delays, sometimes decades, often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help, and early identification and treatment can be made in a difference in the successful management of mental illness and recovery. And whereas it is important to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness in order to get help when it is needed. And whereas the increased stress and social isolation resulted from COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in greater levels of anxiety, depression, alcohol, and substance use, among other effects. And whereas every citizen and community member can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that for too long has surrounded mental illness and discouraged people from getting help. And whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Now therefore, be it resolved, I, Alexander Kaiser, Mayor of the Township of Springfield, on behalf of the Township Committee, do hereby proclaim October as Mental Illness Awareness Month.
And I just want to add to that, after listening to the second half of the proclamation, we do have the Stigma-Free Initiative in town. You can always reach out to any one of us or reach out to me. We try to do events at least quarterly throughout the year, if not more often, and we always are looking for volunteers. So if anybody's watching or if anybody's here and you're interested, please reach out, because it does take a lot of work to put on the events we put on, and it's hard to do without the help of the community. So please and thank you.
Appreciate that. And without further ado, I will call up Chief Cook for our police awards. I figured that the men and women in blue in the back weren't just here to see me tonight.
This on? Yes.
And you can move that around.
Anyway, this is something it's been in the works for a few years. It's something the captain and I reestablished. We've been working on it for the past few years, and we reestablished it several months back. I believe it was in June. We had run an awards program. I mean, our officers are doing great things every day. And once in a while, we come across exceptional instances where we feel it's more than just a performance notice. It's something we want to acknowledge them publicly. So some of these might be recent, some of them might be a little bit older, but we feel that they need to be acknowledged publicly. So these are a few things we're trying to catch up. We still have some catching up to do, but and apparently there's some sort of a sporting event tonight that I've been told I have to hurry up and speak fast.
And the Mets already lost. There's no more baseball.
The real New York team is playing.
Season ended.
Anyway,
Major League.
when I was a kid, something about Mr. October, I think that was Reggie Jackson, I'm not sure. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to proceed with this. So we're going to call up the officers, and once they're here, then we'll give you a brief description of what it's about. Detective Lieutenant James Mirabel, Lieutenant Ryan Westover, Sergeant Marcos Vaz, Sergeant Erjan Sadar, Officer Joseph Leniart, Officer Robert Quinlan, Officer Emmett Badai, Officer Matthew Nolan, Officer Hope Arthur, Officer Matthew Negron, Officer Brandon Manresa, Auxiliary Officer Frank Applegate. So on September 1st of 2021, the remnants of Hurricane Ida, a deadly and destructive Category 4 hurricane, produced catastrophic flash flooding within the Township of Springfield. During the worst of the storm, Officers Leniart, Badai, Nolan, Arthur, Manresa, Quinlan, Negron, Sergeants Vaz, and Sadar were on duty and were faced with dangerous storm conditions. Water levels quickly rose and currents grew stronger and stronger. Motorists were left stranded in their vehicles on roadways throughout the town, and some residents were stranded in their homes. These officers were directly responsible for numerous water rescues of motorists stranded in their vehicles as they filled with water from the flash flooding, and they conducted extensive traffic operations in response to flooded roadways. At times, officers were faced with extremely strong currents and water levels up to their chests. After the water levels subsided, there were over 50 cars left abandoned on roadways throughout town. As the storm progressed, Detective Lieutenant James Mirabel and Lieutenant Ryan Westover were off duty and responded to the township to offer their assistance. They established the Chisholm Community Center as a temporary shelter for those rescued from the flooding and for those displaced from their homes. They also participated in numerous water rescues. Auxiliary Officer and Deputy Office of Emergency Management Coordinator Frank Applegate was also active in assisting with the storm response, volunteering his time even when his own home was in an area prone to flooding. As a result of these officers' selfless acts throughout the storm, numerous motorists were rescued and numerous residents were successfully brought to the Chisholm Community Center to seek shelter, resulting in 0 casualties within the township. The officers that worked during this state of emergency should be commended for their selfless acts to ensure the safety of others. For their actions, Sergeant Marcos Vaz, Sergeant Erjan Sadar, Officer Joseph Leniart, Officer Robert Quinlan, Officer Emmett Badai, Officer Matthew Nolan, Officer Hope Arthur, Officer Matthew Negron, Officer Brandon Manresa, and Auxiliary Officer Frank Applegate are being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal, and Detective Lieutenant James Mirabel and Lieutenant Ryan Westover are being presented with the Exceptional Duty Medal. In addition, Officer Brandon Manresa is being presented with the Line of Duty Wound Medal for the serious injury he sustained during a water rescue of a motorist during the hurricane. Finally, we'd like to present 2 civilians with special awards. Pat Cisbaro is a licensed towing operator who removed over 50 vehicles that were left abandoned on Springfield roadways after the storm when other towing companies were not willing to respond. And Committeewoman Erica Dubois, if I pronounce that wrong, forgive me. She volunteered her own time during the worst of the storm to help out the temporary shelter at the Chisholm Community Center, and volunteered, and she was giving clothes from her own home to people that were there, so I was there to witness that. So Pat, I don't know if Pat's here, and Erica, if you can come forward as well. Hand those out.
We have special pins to commemorate you guys working during Ida. So instead of the meritorious
Chief,
pin, we use
Chief,
special pins.
Chief, give him the microphone.
Officers John Patrick and Matthew Negron. During the early morning hours of February 19th, 2022, Milburn Police requested assistance from our department to assist their officers with the search of two suspects that fled on foot. Officers John Patrick and Matthew Negron and several other Springfield officers responded to the area where the suspects were last seen. While searching the area, Officer Negron observed one of the suspects staying in a driveway of a residence on Short Hills Avenue. The suspect began fleeing after seeing the patrol car. Officer Negron and Officer John Patrick began to search the yards and located the suspect hiding under a vehicle. The individual was placed in custody without force being used, and Officer Negron recognized that the individual had a laceration on his hand and immediately arranged for medical assistance. After being tended to by the first aid squad, the suspect was turned over to Milburn Police Department. For their actions, Officer Matthew Negron and John Patrick are being presented with the Honorable Service Medal. Officers Joel Lopez and Matthew Negron. On September 7th, 2022, officers Joel Lopez and Matthew Negron were dispatched to investigate a reported motor vehicle burglary. The caller observed three individuals enter a vehicle, and upon observing her presence, they fled the area at a high rate of speed. As Officer Lopez was responding to the area, he observed the suspect's vehicle traveling north on Mizell Avenue. The temporary New Jersey registration on the vehicle was reported stolen, and in addition, the vehicle in question was wanted for its involvement in home invasions in Mountainside and Chatham. As officers attempted to close the distance, the vehicle fled at a high rate of speed, and the pursuit was initiated. The pursuit continued through Springfield and entered Union Township, where the suspect's vehicle struck a curb, causing extensive damage to the front passenger side of the vehicle, and the wheel detached from the vehicle. Now on only three wheels, the suspect continued driving recklessly onto Route 78 eastbound and eventually exited the highway in Newark. The driver subsequently lost control of the vehicle and careened into the rear of an unoccupied tractor-trailer. All four occupants of the vehicle bailed out of the vehicle, and a foot pursuit of the suspects began. Officer Lopez observed the driver jumping out of the passenger side front door and was able to tackle him to the ground and take him into custody. As a result of this arrest, the information gathered has assisted other agencies with their investigation into recent home invasions. Officers Negron and Lopez should be commended for a job well done, as they demonstrated true professionalism and remained calm in a dangerous, unpredictable, and chaotic situation. For their actions, officers Matthew Negron and Joel Lopez are being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal. Matt, come back up again. I'll just tell you to stay up here. I'm sorry. Officer Matthew Negron. During the early morning hours of November 22nd, 2021, Officer Matthew Negron was patrolling on Morse Avenue when he observed a stolen vehicle that also matched the description of a vehicle that was utilized during another car theft the night before. When Officer Negron turned around to initiate a motor vehicle stop, the vehicle attempted to speed off to escape, but instead lost control and began spinning, and all the occupants exited the vehicle and fled on foot. Officer Negron chased the suspects on foot through the drainage basin between Morris Ave and Mountain Avenue, and he was able to apprehend 2 of the 3 suspects with no force being used. This led to the recovery of 2 stolen vehicles. For his actions, Officer Matthew Negron is being presented with the Exceptional Duty Medal. Also for this incident, Officer Negron is being presented with the Line of Duty Wound Medal due to sustaining a significant injury while engaged in the foot pursuit. Despite being injured, he managed to take 2 suspects into custody. I think with all the foot chases he does, it wouldn't be so bad for him just to walk from back to the front to the back again. Also, Officer Stephen Bratch, John Patrick, and Joel Lopez, can you join us, please? During the early morning hours of July 28th, 2022, Officer Stephen Bratch observed a reported stolen vehicle traveling on Morris Avenue and attempted to conduct a motor vehicle stop. The vehicle began fleeing at a high rate of speed, and Officer Bratch initiated a pursuit. Officers Negron and Lopez were in the immediate area and responded as backup units, along with Officer John Patrick, who was also nearby. The pursuit continued into Summit, where the suspect's vehicle turned into a dead-end street. The vehicle's 3 occupants bailed from the vehicle and began fleeing on foot. While chasing after and searching for the suspects, Officer Negron heard movement in the rear yard of a residence and captured one of the suspects as they attempted to hide behind a shed. Officers Patrick and Lopez, with the assistance of police units from Milburn and Summit, were able to locate and detain the remaining 2 suspects. For their actions, Officers Bratch, Negron, Lopez, and Patrick are being presented with the Exceptional Duty Medal. In July, Investigator Luis Brito, who is currently assigned to the Detective Bureau, initiated an investigation into the theft of a wallet and additional fraudulent charges made with credit cards that were stolen along with the wallet. Investigator Brito was quickly able to identify 2 possible suspects as the investigation progressed. It was determined that the suspects were involved in numerous other pickpocket thefts throughout the tri-state area. Working with other jurisdictions, Investigator Brito was able to identify a rental vehicle the suspects were using while committing the crimes and track the vehicle to an Elizabeth, New Jersey motel where it was determined the suspects were living. Detectives conducted surveillance operations at the Elizabeth location, and during one of the operations, Brito positively identified one of the suspects on the premises and entering a vehicle. Confirmation of the suspect's identity was obtained through various investigatory means, and an arrest operation was planned. A male and female subject were subsequently placed under arrest, and a search warrant was obtained for the premises. The search produced all of the clothing worn by the subjects during all of the recent thefts in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, fraudulent identification documents that had been linked to the thefts, items purchased through fraudulent use of the stolen credit cards, and a large amount of cash. Investigation continued, and it was determined that the subjects were possibly selling fraudulent Mexican passports and other fraudulent identification documents, in addition to the thefts that were committed, and the case is still being investigated by the Department of Homeland Security. Investigator Brito's exemplary investigation into this incident not only solved Springfield's crime, but will also potentially solve numerous others throughout the country. For his actions, Investigator Luis Brito is being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal. Lieutenant Ryan Westover. Is he still here? During the COVID-19 pandemic, Lieutenant Ryan Westover was not only responsible for his regular police duties, which were compounded due to the health crisis, but as a deputy coordinator with the Office of Emergency Management, he was also responsible for coordinating Springfield's response to the pandemic. Lieutenant Westover's main departmental role of accreditation manager became extremely complicated, especially as his workload increased leading up to the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police accreditation assessments. Items that would have normally been tended to by having meetings, conducting training sessions, and holding informal discussions to address issues could no longer be so easily dealt with the social distancing guidelines in place and many facilities not operating. Lieutenant Westover was able to adapt to and overcome these challenges and ensure our department was more than prepared for our assessments. When it came time for the assessments, Lieutenant Westover's final challenge was to coordinate the assessments virtually, ensuring the appropriate information was made available to the assessors and the public. On December 14, 2020, our department's assessments were completed, and on March 25, 2021, we received our official notice of our successful reaccreditation. For his actions, Lieutenant Ryan Westover is being presented with the Exceptional Duty Medal. Sorry, I guess I'm creating most of this hot air. Sorry about that. March 30th, 2022. Police responded to a report of a male with a gun on a residential street in Springfield. Responding patrol units determined the incident stemmed from a road rage incident in which one driver began to provoke a verbal confrontation with another driver. Detective Lieutenant James Mirabel immediately coordinated an investigation into the incident. Detectives secured statements from the victim and several witnesses and determined the suspect was observed placing a silver handgun on the seat of his car while returning to his vehicle after the confrontation. A positive identification of the suspect was established, and Union County Prosecutor's Office was notified of the matter and approved charges for the suspect. Detective Lieutenant Mirabel planned and implemented a warrant service for the suspect, which was successfully executed. The suspect was arrested and remanded to Union County Jail, and multiple firearms were seized from the suspect's residence. This case is just one instance of Detective Lieutenant Mirabel's exemplary ability to coordinate investigations of serious and complex crimes to ensure they are brought to a successful resolution. For his actions, Detective Lieutenant James Mirabel is being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal. Detective Foster Ziegler. On November 24th, 2021, patrol units were dispatched to a local gas station for a reported unconscious person. It was determined that a gas attendant had been assaulted by an unknown male who was the driver of a vehicle that had fled the scene. The attendant was left on the ground unconscious. Medical aid was provided to the victim, who was transported to University Hospital Trauma Center. Detective Foster Ziegler initiated an investigation and immediately conducted statements with the witnesses and reviewed surveillance footage of the incident that was retrieved from the gas station. The investigation continued, and the suspect was positively identified and was found to have had 3 prior arrests for the same type of crime. In addition, a second suspect was identified, a female passenger who was present with the suspect during the assault. The case information was presented to the Union County Prosecutor's Office, who approved aggravated assault, robbery, and theft charges against both the male and female, with warrants for full extradition. Police responded to the male suspect's address, but an attempt to arrest the suspect was unsuccessful due to the relatives of the suspect failing to cooperate with police. On the following day, the female suspect turned herself in, where she was processed and remanded to the Union County Jail pending a bail hearing. The male suspect was located later that week and also turned himself in, where he was processed and remanded to the Union County Jail. Detective Ziegler's extremely thorough investigation resulted in the successful resolution of a serious violent crime. For his actions, Detective Foster Ziegler is being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal. Corporal Danielle Kahora. During the past several years, the police department was made aware of an elderly resident who has difficulty taking care of their basic needs and has no remaining friends or family members. Officers routinely check on the resident's welfare, offered numerous types of referrals of various resources available to help them, but the resident repeatedly refused any type of assistance. Corporal Danielle Kahora, who has routinely gone above and beyond her normal duty to look after this resident, visiting them regularly and ensuring they have food and other basic necessities. During the past year, Corporal Kahora has built a strong rapport with the resident and has finally convinced them to sign up for a meal delivery service, which has greatly improved the quality of their life. Corporal Kahora has shown a level of kindness and compassion in caring for this resident, which far exceeds what is expected of her and exemplifies what community policing is all about. For her actions, Corporal Danielle Kahora is being presented with the Honorable Service Medal. Officer Brian Trotman.
Nice entrance. I dug it.
During the afternoon of February 18th, 2022, several officers responded to a noise complaint. The subject involved was known to officers due to previous encounters, but never displayed violent tendencies. On that afternoon, however, when officers addressed him about his music, he became extremely upset and out of control. Officer Brian Trotman had previously established a positive rapport with the subject and responded to the scene to assist the officers. Immediately upon seeing Officer Trotman, the subject began calming down, and through patience and positive communication, Officer Trotman was able to calm the subject enough for him to return to his apartment. Upon returning, however, the music playing triggered the subject to begin screaming and acting erratic. Officer Trotman was once again able to calm the subject, and due to concern for the subject's well-being, convinced him to seek medical aid. Officer Trotman was able to calmly assist the subject to the ambulance. One of Officer Trotman's best traits is his ability to have positive communication with any individual he encounters and to make individuals feel secure and reassured that their well-being is the utmost priority. For his actions, Officer Brian Trotman is being presented with the Honorable Service Medal.
I don't know if it was getting the pictures.
Sergeant Sadar, I don't believe he's here. Officer Michelle DiParisi. During the late evening hours of November 20th, 2019, Sergeant Erjan Sadar and Officer Michelle DeParisi responded to a disturbance call involving a person who was physically violent and locked themselves into their bedroom. When Sergeant Sadar arrived, the person positioned themselves against the doorway to block anyone from entering. With concern for the person's safety, Sergeant Sadar pushed his way into the room and found a person in a fetal position with broken shards of glass around them. While attempting to assess the person, Sergeant Sadar found them to be in possession of a knife and scissors with cuts on their arms. Sergeant Sadar disarmed the person and attempted to speak with them, but the subject refused to communicate with anyone of the male gender and only wanted to speak with Officer DeParisi. Officer DeParisi assumed control of the situation and gained rapport with the person. After making her assessments, Officer DeParisi was able to calmly escort the patient into an ambulance and accompanied the person to the hospital safely. For their actions, Sergeant Erjan Sadar and Officer Michelle DeParisi are being presented with the Exceptional Duty Medal. Sergeant Keith Christopher. While off duty during the afternoon of June 10, 2022, Sergeant Keith Christopher observed 4 subjects attempting to shoplift a shopping cart full of items from a clothing retailer in Bridgewater, New Jersey. As the subjects exited the store, Sergeant Christopher displayed his badge and identified himself as a police officer. The subjects began running toward 2 vehicles that were waiting in the parking lot. Sergeant Christopher ran after them and began using his cell phone to attempt to capture images of the subjects and the vehicles. One of the subjects forcibly grabbed the phone from Sergeant Christopher's hands, and Sergeant Christopher proceeded to tackle the subject. At this point, 4 to 5 individual subjects exited the waiting vehicles and proceeded to physically assault Sergeant Christopher, repeatedly punching and kicking him. While Sergeant Christopher was incapacitated on the ground, all subjects fled the scene and his cell phone was stolen. Bridgewater police personnel arrived on the scene shortly thereafter and rendered medical aid to Sergeant Christopher and began an investigation. For his actions, Sergeant Keith Christopher is being presented with the Meritorious Service Medal. Also for this incident, Sergeant Christopher is being presented with the Line of Duty Wound Medal due to the serious injuries he sustained during the assault by the shoplifting suspects. That is, everyone. Thank you for your patience in listening to me and putting up with the temperature rising. And thank you. Hopefully I didn't hold you up too long. Congratulations, guys and girls. Job well done.
Want me to go first?
First.
All right,
Second,
guys, don't
third,
leave yet.
fourth,
I
fifth.
want to say something to you real quick.
Hold on, no one's dismissed.
Get you out of here in a second.
This is like class.
The first year I was up here was Alex and I, it was 2019, and there was a lot of turmoil across the U.S. Every police department had issues. And I think it was the first or second meeting we were up here. I said to every one of you, turn off the TV, go to work. You will never have that problem here. All right? So 4 years later, we're here. 4 years later, we told you we would give your chief the tools he needed to build an outstanding department and let them do what they needed to do to enforce the law around Springfield. Now, I am proud to say that as far as I know of, that everybody, you know, because you see a lot of things, there's been a lot of contact in the last year or so from people who decided to try to take opportunities in Springfield. And I think you men and women have actually gotten almost everybody you've gotten contact with. That's pretty fair to say, right? That, whether it's attempted burglaries, car thefts, if they've been on foot or they've been in the stolen car, you've gotten them. So I think the message is loud and clear that if you come through Springfield with intentions to hurt our residents or take our property or do something that is less than legal, our department will do what they have to do, and we will support you to the end. Thank you. Congratulations, all of you.
Hearing just the general day-to-day that you men and women go through is just astounding sometimes. But especially knowing, and first of all, thank you for even acknowledging what happened during Hurricane Ida, because out of all the committee members, I just bought my house, and it was 2 months, literally 2 months prior to the storm, and everybody was trying to call and check on me, and luckily we were okay water-wise. And I know everybody else up here was dealing with family members or directly, personally with the storm itself, and I knew that I wasn't. And I wanted to be able to help people who were struggling through that night. And Lieutenant Westover was able to come get me from my house because it wasn't safe for me to drive. And we got to Chisholm, and then Detective Lieutenant Mirabel and Lieutenant Westover and I were there. And I just was so, listening to the stories of the people who went through what they went through the night and hearing the heroism of all of you, it's unforgettable. Hearing people in chest-high water and you all rescuing them and bringing them to Chisholm, and some of the stories of families, and just being, I mean, you guys did all the heavy lifting. I was just there so people had somebody to talk to, so I could literally turn the TVs on for people, make sure, they had the blankets they needed, just somebody to comfort them when they were at their low point. And that night was just I didn't even think about that night until today, and I had no idea this was happening. And thank you so much, and thank you guys for all you do. And I piggyback off of what Deputy Mayor Weber said with our support of what you guys and gals do. And sorry, men and women, I don't want to be, I don't want to sell anybody short. And thank you all, and thank you for acknowledging the little part. We're all a team on the township level, and thank you for acknowledging the part I played that night. And thank you for all you do every day.
First of all, Rich. First of all, I'm sorry I was late. I apologize for the first part of it. I know most of you have been sworn in while I've been up here. A lot of you have. I know almost all the police department now. I just want to say thank you, and I'm very proud of the police department of Springfield. Thank you very much.
I would also like to offer my congratulations to all the honorees this evening. When a new officer comes, or whether it's a new officer, a new firefighter, a new first aid squad member, they come up and they get sworn in, they come across the dais and they shake our hands. And I always say, welcome to the family, because we seem to be a family here. We appear to be a family here. I thank you for your continual customer service that you give our residents each and every day. Thank you for the things that we heard about tonight, for the things that we never get to see you do. Thank you for that too. And as long as I'm up here, and I've said this since I've been up here, public safety will always be job number one and priority number one. Thank you, and to all of our first responders, police, fire, first aid, and of course our auxiliary, for the job that you do every day, and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
I just want to add one more thing, especially being mental. We did the Mental Illness Awareness Month, and that was touched on in some of the presentations. I personally know people in my general bubble that have had circumstances over the past couple of years where they were in mental health crisis, and I know that some of you have helped them, and it was beyond appreciated. And all I hear is how how good you guys are at what you do, guys, all of you. I'm saying guys in general term, in handling those situations and being sensitive to those situations and making those people feel as comfortable as they can when they're going through that. And that is really appreciated. And it's more than one occasion that I've heard that, and I just want to acknowledge that since we did that proclamation and since it was brought up tonight, that does really matter, and I'm glad that you are all trained in such a way to handle things the way you do. Thank you for that.
All right, everyone. Last one to speak. I think Ryan ran out of here, but I was going to acknowledge his Cardinals. You know, they may have had an upsetting loss, but, you know, he finally got to witness Pujols and Molina finish their careers. So I know Ryan and me have routinely talked baseball, but he ran to an OEM meeting at almost 8 o'clock. So if that doesn't show you the dedication that not only Ryan, but all of you do for our community, is you're really always there. And anytime I'm discussing about first responders, I'm always remember fondly that Mr. Rogers quote where he says, if there's something going wrong in the world, basically, and I'm butchering it, that you look around and you may be terrified, but you look around and you find helpers. And anytime there's something bad going around, there's always a group of individuals that are helping. Always a group running towards the issue and not away from it. And while the rest of us would be terrified and scared in any situation where we face a fire or a family member getting injured or somebody breaking into our home or having an emergency episode, we're always very thankful of the first responders. And they're not just helpers to us, while they are. They're our heroes. So anytime that we're able to recognize, tonight it was you guys and our police, but from our firemen to on Sunday, I was with the first aid squad. So this town couldn't function without all of you giving your time. And there isn't enough thanks in the world that can go around for that. But more importantly, they know what their job is, but it's all you guys in the audience today, the proud family and friends that came to watch this. And every single time, you know, you lend them to us to help protect us. So an equal thanks to all of you. And I hope we didn't tie up everybody too long tonight, but I think it was important to see. And so appreciate all of you, especially appreciate our men and women in blue. And with that, you may all go in peace, because I highly doubt you want to hear me go through the rest of this agenda tonight. So with that, I will take a very short 1-minute break. All of us up here are not able to get off this dais, but the rest of you may go.
Oh, sorry. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, it's just such a great. I don't know. Oh, I did. It really was good. It was really good. If they don't, always.
All right, now let's fire it up. Not to sound like Rich, but let's go.
Hold on.
All right.
Let's go.
I didn't take him long, did it?
No.
Okay, everybody. We're back. We will start our agenda once again at public comment. This is on the...
Mayor, may I just say that Committeeman Huber did arrive at 7:30.
Thank you.
Okay.
have to-
With Committeeman
7:28.
Huber. With Committeeman Huber coming in, now we start public comment on agenda items only. Any member of the public wishing to address us on agenda items, this is your time to step on up. If you're in the audience, you can step on up, or if you're at home, you can call us at 973-232-4442. That number, once again, is 973-232-4442. On agenda items only, seeing no one coming up and seeing no one calling, I will close the public comment portion on agenda items only and move on to reports. Mr. Administrator, please take it away.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick updates, if I may. We had a meeting today, pre-construction meeting on paving for the full length of Fadum and some of Diamond Road. The work consists of curbing, ramps, full mill and overlay. We're going to start at the end of the month. It's about a 6-week time frame to do the entire project. Just a note here, the total bid price was $540,000. We received $440 as a grant from DOT. We're replacing the final section in town with new upgraded street signs. Instead of the 2-inch letters, they've got 6-inch letters on them now and reflective, so you'll be able to see them much better. Had the pleasure the other day of taking Committeeman Capides over to the Hershey Building. We're just about done, probably within the next 2 weeks. DPW should be moving back in. Got several TRC meetings tomorrow. Also, I have a Union County Shared Service meeting tomorrow, which I will fill you in all on when that is done, what comes of that. Have a meeting on the 17th with the Y at the pool to go over some items we need to look at. Paul is also looking at some dates to come in. I gave him our meeting dates. He's going to get back to me, pick one out, and he will come in, give us an update on the year in retrospect for the pool.
Paul, the
Paul
YMCA.
Kateka, YMC president.
Got it.
I have a meeting with Baltusrol in the next couple of weeks. Next year, they have a PGA event coming, so we're going to have our building department, police, fire, engineering. We're going to sit down with them to go over just to make sure that everything is set up. We don't have any issues. Those events usually go very well. They're very professionally run, obviously. So we don't anticipate any problem with that. Our recycling and garbage bids went out. They're due back the first week of December. And then our goal is to try to award that by the end of December.
An early Christmas present, huh?
Yeah,
Don't remind me.
yeah.
No.
That's more
I'll
like,
take the cold.
that's more like coal in the stocking routine. It's
Yeah,
not going to be
basically.
great.
The Grinch will deliver.
Yeah. Other than that, that was kind of a quick update. Does anybody have any questions or comments I can answer for you?
No, I just wanted to say, I had the opportunity, as Mr. Pasicolo said, to tour the Hershey Building. What an upgrade it was. They contracted all the work themselves. All the workers were quick, efficient, got everything up and running in a very short amount of time. And compared to what they used to be working in conditions, it's a very, very nice improvement, well-deserved improvement, especially with the actualization of that building having to be there and having to have it there on a permanent basis. They did really make it a nice, improved workspace. So if you do have an opportunity to stop by, you really should. And thankfully, they will be out of the pool building soon.
Can I make one more comment? I forgot. We're also working on the roof on the DPW garage. We're going out for bids right now. That roof is shot, and it's been an issue. We're going out for bids at the moment, and we'll try and have that work done probably over the next month or two. We'll start seeing that happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seeing no other comments or questions from the committee, I will move on to minutes and reports, and we do not have any today. New business, we'll move on. We have no second readings, but we do have 2 first readings. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinance?
First reading, ordinance 2022-29. This ordinance amends the provisions of the Township Code pertaining to family daycare homes.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-29 as read by Madam Clerk, with publication in the local source October 13th, 2022, with a final hearing October 25th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We'll move on to discussion. Can I ask Mr. Dowd or Mr.
This
Bisiclo
was
to
a
just
cleanup, but
run through?
yeah.
Just briefly, this is this ordinance it makes some modifications to the township code to ensure that our code is consistent with state law with respect to family daycare homes. These are daycare homes that are, these are daycare facilities in the home with 5 or fewer clients, customers. And this helps to ensure sort of uniform treatment of those facilities within the township under the code.
Okay. Does any member of the committee have any questions?
No.
No.
It was pretty self-explanatory from there. So, roll call vote.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Committeeman Capides?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Weber? Yes. Mayor Kaiser?
Yes. And can I ask the Madam Clerk to read the next ordinance?
Ordinance 2022-30. This ordinance amends Chapter 4, General Licensing of the Township Code to create a business insurance registry in accordance with PL 2022-C19.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval on first reading, ordinance 2022-30, as read by Madam Clerk, and publicized in the local source October 13th, 2022, with a final hearing on October 25th, 2022.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, discussion up here. Do you want to just run through it?
Yes, Mayor. Committee members, this ordinance is aimed to implement a new state law that requires businesses, including those who rent their homes or rent their property, to carry insurance and to demonstrate that to the municipality in which the business is situated. This is new, and although it's state law, it is being implemented and enforced by the township. So you'll see the enforcement provisions, which are steep. Those are statutory. Those are not discretionary for first, second, and third offenses. This is an annual requirement, and it's not going to be, it's going to cause some effort, require some effort by the administration to implement this and to maintain the registry and to remind folks of their annual requirements to register.
I was going to ask, how are people notified? Is this like common knowledge to people who might have multifamily homes, or is this something that?
I'm not aware of any statewide sort of publication of this, so I think it's going to have to be done at this level, and it'll be up to the township how to do this. I suspect there'll be some kind of pronouncement on the website at the very least, and there may be other ways to make sure people are aware of it. There's certainly a lot of contact with businesses as taxpayers and in other ways throughout the township. So we'll be working on that.
Understood. With that, other questions?
No.
Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Committeeman Capides?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Weber? Yes. Committeewoman Du Bois? Yes. Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Mayor Kaiser?
Yes. Resolutions. We'll adopt the following resolutions on consent agenda. If you would like a resolution pulled, please let me know as I read through. Resolution 2022-252. Resolution 2022-253. Resolution 2022-254. Resolution 2022-255. Resolution 2022-256. Resolution 2022-257. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolutions 2022-252 through 2022-257.
Second.
Ooh, that was close.
Madam Clerk, who are you choosing?
Committeeman Capides?
Oh.
Sitting close.
With that being said, do we have a roll call vote?
Deputy Mayor Weber?
Yes.
Committeeman Capides?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Not here. Yes.
Mayor Kaiser?
Yes. And we'll move on to discussion and action items. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request from Patriot Chamber of Commerce for use of Municipal Lot 1, Sunday, October 16th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for Fall Festival and Car Show.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's an easy one. And it's now time to pay some bills.
Make a motion for payroll and invoices for the period of September 29th through October 11th, 2022, in the amount of $5,046,401.09.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Weber?
Yes.
Committeeman Capides?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Mayor Kaiser.
Yes. Correspondence, we received one letter this time for the New Jersey League of Municipalities on the notice of the proposed membership dues. I hope everyone had a fun time reading that. And now, everyone is waiting for the public comment on any governmental issue. Anyone in the public wishing to address this body can step on up now if you're in the audience, or if you're at home, you can call us at 973-232-4442. Let me remind everybody that members of the public have 5 minutes to speak to this body. During that time, Township Committee meeting. Township Committee meeting? Are you there? All right. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me put you on speaker. All right. So before we let you speak, who's on the phone, let me just remind everybody for public comment. You get 5 minutes to address the body. During those 5 minutes, you can pretty much say what you want. I would ask the members of this body to please refrain from making any comments until after the public comment is done. And once your 5 minutes is up, I would ask you to please sit back down and either wait for a response or no response. So, on the phone, we'll go with you first. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. It's Jed Weiner, 5 South Derby Road. I just wanted to also congratulate all the officers. I know they may have left already, but also just thank them for all of their efforts. And I did have a related question. I didn't know, in light of the incident that occurred last week, I think it was on Monday afternoon, where there were some individuals who I think were attempting to burglarize some cars, and it resulted in I don't know if it was a lockdown or at least a shelter in place in 2 of the elementary schools. Is there any way that the township or the police department could implement the Nixle system or one of those types of alert systems that you can get text messages? I think a lot of the surrounding towns and their police departments do have that. So it's something that I would be interested in, because it was difficult to get information, and there was some confusion certainly at the time, and it was obviously right around the time when the schools were letting out. So I just wanted to raise that as something and see if that could be looked into.
Okay. Mr. Weiner, will that conclude your comments before I'll ask the police chief to chime in?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for your comments. I will hang up and then have the police chief respond.
Thanks.
Yeah, the concern, obviously the concern is certainly valid. Myself and the captain were out driving around during that situation, and we were trying to coordinate getting something out as we were being involved with, as everything was transpiring. We tried to get it as best we could, something immediately out over our Facebook page, but it would definitely look into, other applications, as the gentleman had mentioned, Nixle, or there's several applications out there, but we'll definitely look into that and take his suggestion. So I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Nope, a very good suggestion too. And just to follow, does the school system notify? Like, how do they notify parents?
I know they have a share 911 system. I'm not sure how that goes out to. I know they notify all the parents. I'm not sure what their email blast is. I'm not exactly sure.
For my own edification.
Yeah, it's by, there's someone here that, some of the parents might be here that know. I know it got out. I know that the school does notify. I don't know how much information they put out, but, they were made aware that there was, a shutdown, a shelter in place going on. But,
Thanks, Chief.
you're welcome.
Yeah, so,
You're welcome.
I don't see anybody else calling in, so anybody wishing to step on up? Please step on up, state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Ian Ariello. My address is Lang Terrace.
Is that on?
Sorry?
Is that on? I don't even know if that's...
Yeah, it is, I
Lang
think.
Terrace. It's in Springfield. I live here 20 years, and I got to tell you, I'm not safe anymore. It's getting to a point where it's really bad. I was here today not realizing they were all going to get the awards. One of the incidents, which was referred to, I forgot the date, was September 9th, it was me that called the cops. My house was being broken into like 3:30 in the morning. My sister was watching from work, thought what was going on, called me. Me and my husband ran out the door, not realizing what was going on. It was 4 guys. I seen a beautiful SUV. I remember it was gray, called it in. They were able, the officers did a fantastic job. I got to praise them. They were fantastic. So it turned out to be, they ended up being, I guess, they invaded a lot of houses. And that goes by, I tell everybody, our block went and put all lights up. Everybody got the ring going on, because I live in a very secluded, dead-end block. To get to me was really bizarre, because it's not like you could see my house right off the street. So I said, I told everybody knows, and my whole area knows me, so the whole area already got lights, rings, everything. We put solar lights around, so we do a lot of walking, and there's a group of people in my area. So we were all like, what other precautions could we do? I love that other thing with the text message, advise everybody. Ring usually does. It tells everybody this is happening. So then last week, another incident happened, which was 2 blocks away, which was Hillside Avenue, which they just spoke about now. And it shut down, the same thing. It was a burglary, and it's getting crazy. Now I just heard that there's going to be a marijuana dispensary. So it's going to bring a lot more crime into the area. So at this point, we got to do a lot of precautions here. All right, so then I looked around, and I noticed there's a lot of lampposts that are not up. There's poles up, but there's lights missing in my neighborhood. So I walked around the neighborhood, and I realized every 2 or 3 was missing a light. It was dark areas. So I called Jersey Central, and they said, oh, you have to talk to the committee because they pay the electric, on the lights, the posts outside. So, because I was going to ask for a post on the end of the block. It's very dark, and a lot of cars sometimes park there. People park because it's dark and it's secluded. So they said that you have to bring it up because it goes by numbers, and you pay the electric on them. So I said, oh, maybe there's something good that we could do. Maybe we get brighter lights, sufficient, maybe like solar. You don't pay that much electric because they're amber. They're a little bit, so maybe a little bit lighter, to light up the streets a little bit more and be efficient. There's different, there's solar panel ones now. There's different. And they said, you have to talk to them. We can't do nothing without their approval. So I went around the neighborhood. I looked around. There's other blocks that have continuous lighting, and then there's other blocks that just have 1, and then 3 posts down they have a light. So in those dead ends, they just park their cars, and that's how I guess they disappear or whatever they do. But if there's more lighting and people put their rings and all that going, maybe will discourage them from coming into Springfield. And I know it's not just Springfield. I know Clark. I happen to know the person. They invaded that house in Clark, where they went inside the house, took the keys, so you guys all know what's going on is they're stealing these cars. They're getting paid. They're making a lot of money, these kids. They're very young. They're mostly from the Crips and all the different gangs. And so what they do is they send them over to Newark, and they put them on trailers, and they send them to Africa and to all the countries. They take out the navigation tape, the serial number. Everybody knows. There's other places I know their car has been stolen. They look. They say, oh, my God, my car is in the middle of the water right now. They said, well, they can't do nothing about it. So this is not just our town, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's all the towns, because I talked to a lot of people, and they're telling me it's happening everywhere. So if we could do one little step, maybe more lighting, or something to lessen, maybe like they were saying, they're doing such a great job getting these people, maybe they'll think twice, let's not go to Springfield, we got caught 3 or 4 times, you know what I mean? Because I'm hearing they're being let out, and they're the same kind of group, and they're doing it again, because that other group was 4 people, and I think at my house, they came, I thought it was 3, I thought it was 4 people in a car. One's a driver, 2 were in the car, because I have the whole video. So, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry you went through that.
Hold on. Debate flows through the chair, everybody. Before, I just missed your last name, madam.
Nardiello.
Nardiello. Well, I appreciate, you coming and addressing the committee. On streets with JCP&L, we have done that before, so I'm sure, John, you can certainly provide some color.
Call either DPW or me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And let us know if you can, which ones are out. We'll come out tomorrow, we'll look at them. We have to put a work order in with JCP&L.
Yeah, that's what they explained to me.
So just, if we can identify which ones they are, Mr. Betcher will put a work order in. Unfortunately, JCP&L doesn't come out the next day, but
No, that's fine, at least it's a.
it's a start.
They called me the mayor of the block, so I could just. put
Just
it
let
out,
us know.
text out.
Well,
And then the other thing we could look into for the future is maybe changing the lighting and it'd be more efficient. So you get brighter light and less money on the bill because they're like amber, like a
yeah,
little.
they replace today, a lot of times they'll replace with LEDs. So,
Because ours is like a orange.
I know exactly
All
what
right,
you
so I'll
have.
call you
Call me tomorrow.
and then we'll take it from there.
Yep.
All right,
And,
thank you.
Miss,
Can I,
you can address without. Everybody does.
no, from what I understand, JCP&L is told to upgrade their grid. The grid in this town is garbage.
Yes.
I'm very honest with you. If you go to Union, they have solar. We can't have solar yet. I'm hoping that it might take a year, it might take 2 years, I don't know. But I was told that they're going to start upgrading their grid, and maybe we can get some solar lights to help with it.
Can I get your phone number and we will call you and we'll come out tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll keep on, because I have 2 people coming.
If you just give me your number, we'll give you a call.
don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it after.
Can I comment too on what she talked
Sure,
about?
yes, Chief.
First, I just want to thank you because residents that pay attention and get involved, that's the reason why we can prevent things from happening. So thank you for helping us to help you by paying attention to what's going on. The streetlights thing is something we can pay attention to. Like my guys are driving around at night, so I'll make sure that they, as they're driving around, because they're the ones that don't notice if the lights are out or not during the day. The guys during the day are not going to notice. So I'll task them with one of the things they do is keeping a list of, around town, giving us a list to forward to DPW. And like the young lady said, this is not a Springfield problem. It's not even a state problem. It's countrywide, and it's the branch of the judicial system. Aside from us, I mean, we catch them and they let them go, and it's not anything that we can do on our end. It's just it's the system. There's there's kinks in the wheel, and we're doing the best we can with it. But again, our guys are out there. They're very active at night, and they're watching. All the townships work together very well. We get information. We have cameras throughout the county that pick up on certain vehicles, the stolen plates, so we know when something's coming around. We have updated technology, so we're doing the best we can to give us the advantage for knowing when things are coming around. But again, working the community working together with us, the extra eyes and ears is what helps us to succeed. So thank you for doing that for us. That's it. Thank you.
Step on up.
110 Soldier Street.
5 minutes. I will give you a warning if you're running towards the end.
I just want to know very clearly what your policy is regarding elected officials making threats to residents. That's my only question.
Mr. Dowd,
I have nothing else to say. I'll wait for your answer.
care to respond?
Yeah, this sounds to me like it's something that would be more suited to be directed to the police department, not as a policy, but as a response. There's not something that that's before this body that I can substantively respond to.
Directly regarding committee members making threats to residents.
You should take that to the police.
Everybody. Decorum.
I'd like to know the answer.
I would,
Policy is to take it to the police department. I want to know what the policy is of committee members directly threatening residents.
I appreciate your question. I believe that's a matter that would be handled by the police department, and if there is tangible evidence of a threat, there would probably be an investigation. I will certainly ask the police chief if he can give any color or comment if there was a report or any such thing. But with that being said, I don't believe there is a current policy.
And Mr. Mayor, I can review that after the meeting and get back to this body if there's anything short of anything related to law enforcement, whether there's a policy that's in place.
Thank you, Mr. Dowd. Anybody else in the audience wishing to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, I will open it up to the phone, everybody. I'll give it the number one more time. It's 973-232-4442. That number again is 973-232-4442. I'll give that a moment.
Oh, can I make a comment as a public?
Let me just, you.
Yeah, no.
I will close, let me close the public comment
Well, I'll
on
make
any
my 30
governmental
seconds, that's
issue.
fine.
And then, Chief, take it away.
Yes, as speaking on behalf of the Springfield Historical Society, this weekend is also 4 centuries, and our very famous, but yet not so well-known for some reason, Cannonball House, which is such a landmark for our, very historical town, will be open both Saturday and Sunday for walkthrough tours from 12 in the afternoon until 5 both days. First floor only, because we've been having renovations, but it is a neat place to see if you've never been there.
I never
So-
went until I was an adult, and it's such an amazing experience. It's so
Yeah,
fascinating.
it's a lot of history has been in there. General Washington himself has stood there. A lot of Springfield history is there. So it will be open this weekend amongst everything else that's going on this weekend.
No,
so.
Very busy weekend.
It's a busy week, and
Yes, it
I
is.
can't believe Linda didn't smack me for making that not making that announcement. Usually
She knew I was going to catch.
she's always there. But
Come back with it, so.
thank you for your work
Thank you.
on that, and I know
Can
I will
make
be
one
there.
Quick statement. I want to congratulate the Springfield Girls Softball Organization for holding the first sorry about that, the first that I know of softball tournament in town this weekend. My daughter was not involved. None of my kids were involved. They're in different teams, but I know that there was a lot of moving parts, parents that worked really hard to put it together. I don't want to name anyone and miss anybody. I know they coordinated with DPW, with the club itself, with the recreation department. And I stopped by. I know Deputy Mayor Weber was there, and it was pretty awesome. And I'm pretty impressed I was really impressed with it. And shout out to everybody who had something to do with it, because it was really cool, and it really put Springfield on the map, and hopefully there'll be more of these events in the near future. And it was great for the kids, it was great for the community, it was great to show off the community. I heard there was a lot of great feedback from there were 8 teams involved, so 7 that were not Springfield teams, and they had a lot of positive things to say about our facilities. And as a softball mom for a long time, people talk about those facilities when they leave a tournament. I heard very positive things about ours, and it's good to hear. So I was really happy to hear it.
May I add one more shout out? If you have an opportunity between now and
St. James
Saturday, St. James Fair
Yes.
is going on. I don't think there's only 2 nights that I can go, but I know that there's been
Nobody's going to see you. It's fine.
I know, but I want to go to support. I know that there was a lot of people that put in a lot of time and a lot of effort.
If you volunteer for a dunk tank, trust me,
I'm
there's
in.
going to be a lot of us there.
I would be. Think of the money we'd make, Alex. Think of the money
Let's
we'd make.
go.
But a lot of people put a lot of time and effort in there. It's their biggest fundraiser of the year. Come by. They got
My little
pies,
one can't wait to help them
foods.
fundraise.
My family's there right now.
Oh, we're going tomorrow night.
Good.
With that being said, we still have some work to do up here. We have an executive session. So, Madam Clerk, will you read the resolution?
Resolution 101122, whereas Article 6 of the Open Public Meetings Act provides that a public body may hold a closed session, and whereas the Township Committee will, during this meeting, enter into discussion of the following matters: attorney-client privilege and potential acquisition of real property, whereas matters to be discussed in closed session are to remain in the strictest of confidence by all Township Committee members in furtherance of their fiduciary duties to the Township. Now therefore be it resolved, matters discussed at this meeting will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing and acting upon them in closed session no longer exists.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.